Hey everybody, welcome back to Castle Crush. Psych out here. A lot has happened since we last did a video. As you can see, we're still at Castle 7, but our trophy count has gotten quite high. We've gotten over 2,700 trophies now. This is our current high trophy count. And hopefully in the next few days, we're going to make a push for 3,000 and getting to Castle 8. A couple of other things that happened that have helped us get to this trophy count is we have picked up some cool new legendary cards. I'm going to show you those. So one, we have the Black Witch here, which is great because it turns everything in the lane into skeletons, including your own creatures, but mostly this is used to control an opponent's push by destroying, pretty much turning everything in the lane into a skeleton, and then you either kill it, either with the Black Witch herself, or a bomb, inferno, arrows, something like that. We'll see some examples of that here in a little bit. We also got the Vampire, which is fantastic. We got two vampires in a legendary chest, so I upgraded it to level 2. The vampire has a very strong attack, as you can see, in strong health. It moves very quickly. She also steals life, so when the vampire attacks a creature, it regains health from that creature, but it loses health while it's out. 8% of its health is lost every second or something, or half second or something like that while it's out on the board. So eventually the vampire will die if nobody touches it, but it does, if you keep fighting it, it often gains more health than it loses and stays alive for a very long time. We'll see some examples of that as well. And of course, we're still running with the dragon and the Black Knight and our Shaman. So this is the deck I've been playing. I experimented with slight different variations of this deck. This has been the one that I think has been the strongest. In an earlier version, I did not have Giant Growth, and instead I had the mana ritual, which I thought would be good because it would help me get to the dragon faster. The problem with that is it does help you get to the dragon faster, but the problem with mana ritual is it's really good at getting cards out quickly, but at the end, when you have 12 mana, it really doesn't help you that much. Yes, it makes playing a card cheaper, but you often end up with those cards in your hand when you would much rather have a creature or a spell that can do something on the board, and you're not so mana hungry. So anyway, I replaced that with a Giant Growth, which is actually not very strong. Our Giant Growth is only level 5, which means it's sort of limited in how much it increases our troop strength. So it's pretending as if our epic troops are level 1 and our legendary troops are level 1 when I Giant Growth it, but of course our epic troop, the Black Knight, is level 2, and our legendary troops that we would Giant Growth, the Dragon and the Vampire, we'll see some examples of that as well, are also level 2. So unfortunately, we're not getting the most out of our Giant Growth. We really need to get more Giant Growths to level that up. Okay, so this is the deck. We have 2 arrows and a bomb, and an Inferno, and the Black Witch. And as you'll see, the Vampire is also a very good defensive card. The Demon, a lot of defensive cards, and the idea here is to slow down any early attacks from our opponent, and to get out a Black Knight, Dragon, multiple Black Knights, Dragons, Giant Growth them, use Nature Heal to keep them alive, get to the castle, and crush our opponent. And so I've been on quite the win streak lately, won 8 out of 10 games, and in this video what I'm going to do is go ahead and review some of our last games. I'll start with this one here against Hornpad. And I'm just going to sort of talk you through the thought process on how we're playing this deck. Okay, so the best card you can get to start with is clearly the Crystal. We can also play a bomb for 2 mana, but there's often nothing to bomb right away. The Pirate Monkey is one of our most hated cards, as usual. And we have a few ways of defending the Pirate Monkey. One is the double arrow attack, although, as you'll see here, these Pirate Monkeys are level 8, and I mistakenly thought I could take them out with a double arrow, and I could not. So I needed to add a bomb to that as well. Below at level 8, it seems like a double arrow attack would do it. Other things for taking out the Pirate Monkey include the Demon, the Shaman, but of course our opponent there had 2. Our opponent makes a mistake here. It should have been clear that our Shaman was in the top lane, but he played the Demon in the bottom lane, so I countered with the Demon of my own, just to grab control of the lanes. We're not really trying to put on a winning attack here. We're just waiting for our mana to build up. And I just decided to let the Shaman die there without using a Nature Heal. I figure I can get that. I've weakened that Black Knight with an Inferno, so I could get one hit, or the Executioner, so I could one hit him with my Black Knight. Okay, so now my opponent plays a Black Knight as well, but I'm going to Giant Growth Mine, giving me an advantage here. So I win that, and I also knew I had that Nature Heal in my back pocket, so I could get my Black Knight growing again. And now it's time to bring out the dragon. Usually with this deck, when you can bring the dragon, you should bring it out. Okay, so now here's a really key moment. My opponent has played the standard bearer, switching lanes. I was, of course, hoping my dragon would dominate this lane. This can happen with this deck. You can often dominate in 2 lanes, and if your opponent can rush you in another lane, that can get you in a lot of trouble. So it's really crucial to have something like the Black Witch in your back pocket to control that 3rd lane if your opponent... I've lost matches where I lost 1 lane. I was dominating in the other 2 lanes, but my opponent was too fast in the other lane and took me out. The other thing that will happen in this deck is we'll often be behind in castle health early on and hope to win the game late. So here I've gone ahead and played the Black Witch. The idea is to just take out all 3 of these by turning them into skeletons. And I'm going to combo that with arrows. Now, you don't have to do that. You can let the Black Witch shoot. The Black Witch throw some range attack at it and kill the skeletons. And eventually it will kill some skeletons. If they have too many skeletons, they'll kill your Black Witch ultimately. But the problem with it is if the Black Witch dies, the creatures come back to life. And I really didn't want that to happen here. I don't know what my opponent has in their hand. If they have an Inferno in their hand or a Meteor, my Black Witch will die and all of their creatures will come back. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure they stay dead by playing the arrows. Now, I actually played it just a bit too early, as you saw there. And it did the arrows to the creatures and not to the skeletons. So then I had to play another arrows to kill the skeletons. Now my opponent played a Black Knight. Luckily for me, I have another Black Witch in my hand and played that right there. And this time I just let the Black Witch and the skeletons take each other out. Played another Giant Growth on my Black Knight, and that Black Knight's just too strong, and that's the game. Okay, so we got the win there. Was the first game we'll show. I'll show another game. This one is against, I believe this person is a former clanmate of mine. I believe he was formerly in my clan. And so you'll see here I say hi to him. I think it could be a different person, but I'm fairly confident that this person was previously in my clan. But of course I had no idea what deck they were playing. I don't remember what deck the person was playing. Okay, so we did get a crystal, so that's good, but now we're sitting here. This often happens where we don't really have anything to play. I decided to burn the Nature Heal because we can't really do anything with that right now. Now, a lot of our opponents will play at this level the Angel out there, and I don't really know what it's doing. Sometimes they'll back it up with a large creature, and so I just want to get rid of it. So I played the Demon to get rid of it. And then the Shaman does pretty well against the Jester. And the Shaman also does really well against the A-Pirate. It's one of our defenses against the A-Pirate. And our opponent played the A-Pirate there, which was probably a mistake. Okay, so now the lanes are clear, but I'm actually pretty happy here because we're up to 9 mana. I go ahead and burn a Black Knight because I can't play it yet. I've got a lot of defensive cards in my hand. I'm prepared to slow down any major assault, and I'm just waiting. Okay, so right there I was waiting until my opponent's creatures got close because I wanted to play the Vampire because there's a lot of creatures in that lane. I think the Vampire can take them all out. But what I didn't want to do was play it too early because the Vampire loses health the longer it's out. So I wanted to wait till the Demon got a little closer to my castle. And so that's what I was doing there. And now the Demon takes out, or the Vampire takes out the Demon. Now my opponent is really going to try hard to kill everything here. So I played an Inferno to try to get some space back, but unfortunately they were able to take me out. Okay, so now the Catapult's a little annoying. Got to get rid of that. So Black Witch plus a bomb. And now I'm sitting pretty. Now this is the position I like to be in. Let's bring out a dragon. And we're going to Giant Growth that. And the dragon is another great card for attacking the pirate monkey, or the ape pirate, or whatever it is. Okay, now our dragon's bigger, so we're going to win this fight. The question is, will we get a Nature Heal or something like that to keep our dragon alive? I decided to go ahead and play a second dragon here because I do want to keep control of this lane. And now I'm going to play a Vampire in front. I think our opponent might have Inferno, but our cards are a little too strong for that to really affect them too much. So I think this one lane push is going to be okay here. Plus I have I have arrows and Black Witch if my opponent gets a little too fancy with another lane. Okay, now there's something I did want to show. Let me see. Oh, I couldn't go back. Um, Unfortunately, there's no rewind feature. Um, well, we'll show it. We'll see it in another game. So here I am, just giant growth. I have a huge dragon out there, and this is basically game over for my opponent. I mean, these two huge dragons, a Black Knight on the doorstep. There's just no I mean, they can push it back if they want, but ultimately there's just not going to be any defense here. Okay, so that got us a win there. Um, let's go to the next game. Here we go. So all of these are wins. We had 6 wins in a row in this little run. All right, so this time we do not get the crystal, but we did get it on our first draw, so that's a plus. We always like to get crystals early because our deck is most vulnerable to early attacks, particularly attacks from the Unchained Demon. If I have time here, I may show an Unchained Demon deck. Okay, so here I'm just going to play my Vampire, which will kill his instantly, and then clean up the mess. So this was a pretty easy play to stop an early push from my opponent. I go ahead and put the Shaman. I could have put the Shaman in a different location. I decided to try something here because I'm going to play this Nature Heal when the Vampire gets close, with the idea being that now my Vampire is healed up, and the Vampire does a lot of damage, and the Vampire would do a lot of attack. Now my opponent wisely played something to slow down the attack there, arrows, which took my Vampire out earlier, and then meteored my Shaman. But I'm pretty happy. We're up to 10 mana. I'm actually ahead in castle health, which is rare for me. And I've got a Black Knight out. Now my opponent giant growths the Black Knight. Okay, we're not 100% comfortable here, but I'm looking at my hand going, that's okay. I'm in good shape. I've got a dragon coming, and I can back everything up here, defend everything with the Black Witch. And that's what I decided to do now. It's important to play, I'm going to pause here. It's important to play the Black Witch early enough. If you wait too long, if you wait until the Black Knight gets right to your castle, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble, because the Black Witch takes a few seconds to actually for their little thing to actually work. And so the Black Knight will hit your Black Witch and kill it before its skeleton effect actually goes into play. So you have to play it earlier. I've lost games when I screwed up and played it too late, tried to wait too long to play it, and then they killed my Black Witch before the effect took place, and then I just sat there and died. So in this case, we got it out early enough. Now, my opponent has played Protection. I've got Inferno, Arrows, and Bombs, and I think I kind of screw up the sequence here. I probably should have just went with Inferno and then Arrows, but I think I tried to bomb and kind of missed a little bit, and then I had to play Arrows, but eventually the Black Witch cleaned up the mess there, and I could bring out my dragon. And so now we're in a, oh, and by the way, my opponent was a little unfortunate there. They tried to giant growth their meta elemental, but my dragon blew it back, and so their giant growth missed, and my giant growth is not going to miss, and now I have a very large dragon. They're going to play a meteor on it, but the dragon is so big and so powerful. Now I'm just sitting here thinking, okay, the only thing I need to clean this up is a nature heal, and this is pretty much game over. So my opponent does try to go all in. They play a nature heal to try to keep their vampire alive. Of course, I have a vampire out there as well. Now I'm really hoping for a nature heal, and sure enough, that's what I get. And you're going to see this is beautiful. My vampire's right at their castle. I'm going to play a nature heal, and I'm going to have a giant growth dragon and a vampire at their castle doing massive amounts of damage. So the nature heal got in just before their arrows, keeping my vampire alive, and the damage is just huge. And so that's how we won that game. And now let's go to this one here. This one, I believe, is pretty exciting, if I remember correctly. This is an Unchained Demon deck. Okay, so obviously we have no crystal, and we'll go ahead and burn the Black Knight. We're not going to be able to play that for a long time. Okay, now we got a crystal. Opponent plays the Unchained Demon deck. This is a difficult deck for us to deal with because it is relatively fast, and if the Unchained Demon gets to your doorstep, it's very difficult to get rid of it. So I've tried to take it out with the demon. They've already nature healed it once. I have the The vampire, I think, would have taken it out, but unfortunately got frozen, and I was way too late with my nature heal. That was pretty bad play. And so now I'm just in the defensive here. I'm putting out a shaman, even though I know it's going to die. I'm going to throw arrows at it. I know the bomb's not enough to kill it, so I'm waiting. Okay, luckily I got another arrows, and I can kill it. And very luckily, my opponent did not get the metamorph to work because nothing was out there. So now I'm down to 732 castle health, and I'm going to get very lucky here because my opponent has meteor, and they basically just need to do one hit to beat me. Now I'm going to play the Black Witch, and unfortunately that gets stopped by their meteor, and I couldn't do anything about it. Luckily, I can now get out my dragon, and I need a giant growth that, even though they lightning bolt at my dragon, is still pretty formidable with the giant growth on it. And of course it does range damage, so that helps. I need another dragon to deal with this one. You just notice I'm down to 10 health. That meteor that they hit put me all the way down to 10 health. That means if my opponent draws a meteor, I'm dead. They draw another meteor, there's no way I can win. They lightning bolt a dragon there. I'm sitting on the nature heal though, and here's that combination we've seen before. I'm going to nature heal and have a very strong vampire plus dragon coming. Now eventually they're going to get rid of my vampire, but I still got and now a giant growth, and it's going to be pretty tough for our opponent to win unless they draw. The key thing they could draw here was a meteor. A meteor, they would still win, and they didn't get it. And so we got the win, even though we only had 204 castle health left. So that one was pretty exciting. Some mistakes early, but we were able to overcome those. Okay, and I'll show this one here. Here's another opponent playing with some big creatures, Metamorph and the Angel. We both get the crystal. And I'm pretty happy. I've got some cards I can play early on. I've got the Black Witch, I've got Inferno, and I've got Shaman. So those are early cards for me. I'm going to go ahead and just kill that Angel. I don't know what my opponent's going to play. A lot of people run Angel, and they'll notice they had a mana ritual going there. They run Angel followed by a Mud Elemental, and that's going to be pretty difficult to stop, especially since I don't have Lightning Bolt yet. And the Mud Elemental will continue to gain strength, gain health back as the Angel stays with it. So here I just decide I'm going to get rid of this Black Knight. Luckily my opponent got a Shaman in the middle lane and not another Black Knight. So okay, this is the fun combination. So because I've got some lane control, I'm able to play my Vampire right out in the middle of the board, take out their Shaman with no real difficulty. And now my game plan is to giant growth that vampire and use nature heal and put it right in front of their castle, and it's gonna do massive amounts of damage. Plus I've already got a shaman doing a lot of damage up front. So there we go. There's the giant growth, there's the nature heal, and we're gonna see massive damage. Now my opponent does play a freeze. I'm a little worried. What if they had gotten a vampire there, we could have been in trouble. But instead that shaman just actually fuels my vampire by giving it more health. And it's just all over at this point for my opponent. Even that Mud Elemental, it was just going to continue to help my vampire gain strength, and it was not going to be able to kill the vampire. So that's kind of a neat little combination where you get the vampire close, giant growth, and use nature heal to get it close to full health when it's at their castle door, and it can do massive amounts of damage. Okay, so this will be the last game I show here against Beast Death. And, my opponents here are playing pretty typical decks, blends of cards, nothing, other than the one opponent who was playing the Unchained Demon deck. There's nothing really too thematic about their decks. Okay, and again here, I don't know what my opponent's up to, so I'm just going to Inferno that. A little unlucky that I was late, or a little too early to get the pirate at the same time, but I'm not too worried about the pirate. Now here I accidentally, that was an accident. I meant to play the shaman in the lane with the pirate, but I accidentally played it in the middle lane, so we're just going to have to live with that mistake. My opponent plays a Black Knight, and I'm in a lot of trouble here, so I decide I better get out my, the whatever she's called, Black Witch. And I decide to arrow because I don't want to deal with it. Now my opponent here, I think, is just trying to slow me down. They have to know that these druids cannot win against my shaman, but I think they're just trying to slow down the damage until they can get something else out. And again, I'm also sitting here looking, going, okay, I've got a vampire and it's coming, and I've got a nature heal. I don't have the giant growth, but I do have the nature heal, and I can do lots of damage with this vampire here. And so we have two vampires facing each other. They have the giant growth, and unfortunately their vampire did enough damage. My demon took out their vampire, but I didn't have enough time to play the nature heal. I thought about it, but I thought, no, I'm just going to miss with it, so I didn't. I just let my vampire die there. Okay, but I'm still feeling pretty good. We're about to get to 12 mana, and I'm about to play a dragon, and thankfully, because my demon was all the way at the front of their castle, I don't have to play the dragon way back in the front. I can play my dragon all the way up in the middle of the board. And I decided to play it there because I figure, okay, I can take care of that mage later on with something if I need to. I've got a Black Knight coming. I've got arrows. I've got bomb. I'm not worried about that mage. But I am worried about my opponent playing something like a demon that could do a lot of damage to my dragon. So by playing it in the lane with the demon, if my opponent does play a demon, my demon will be targeted and not the dragon. The dragon will survive. So I go ahead and play it in the center lane here. My opponent counters with the Black Knight, which is a pretty good counter to the dragon, but unfortunately my demon took the hits. And so unfortunately for my opponent, now I'm also sitting on a nature heal, which I get out just in time here. And now my opponent's in a lot of trouble because I've got a Black Knight already pounding on the door. I've got a dragon. Now here I elect to go ahead and play a second dragon. It could have been a bad decision. Of course, if I had seen my opponent's cards, I would have just let my cards keep doing what they were doing, but I didn't know what else my opponent had. So I played a second dragon. Now here a lot of stuff happens. I'm a little slow here. I should have gotten out the Inferno in the top lane to kill that angel. And then my dragon would have beaten those other two creatures there, and we would have had an easy win. We're going to get an easy win anyway, thankfully, partly because the Shaman is backing up the dragon, and the Black Knight's doing a lot of damage at the bottom. But I really should have played the Inferno, and I played it a little too slowly, and ultimately that means my dragon dies, and so then when I tried to play the Nature Heal, it would have missed. But nonetheless, we're just doing way too much damage to our opponent, and we got the win. So there we go. We're all the way up to 2,700 trophies. Again, we're shooting for 3,000. This has been a pretty quick run on this account. Let's check out our stats. We have 241 wins. My target, I'm hoping to get to 3,000 before I get to, or by the time I get to 300 wins. We found 43 cards. We are, I think we're finally, yes, we are officially at the top of our clan. This is my son now in second place. So we're at the top of our clan, and the target is 3,000 trophies before 300. We'll see if we can do it. I don't know if this deck's good enough there. I think this deck is good enough to get to 3,000 with some strengthened cards. I mean, I think if we could get our arrows a little stronger, definitely the giant growth, perhaps the nature heal. I'd love to get a level 6 Inferno. I think that would really help us out as well. But those things are going to take some time, so we'll see if that happens. Okay, that's it for this video. If you like this video, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.